Welcome back to another episode of my kitchen. Today we're going to cook a nice simple recipe that gets great results. We're going to be doing PILAU rice, and as you can see by the ingredients, really simple. We have 1.5 cups of rice that's been soaked for 30 minutes. Use basmati, long grain rice, the better. We're going to be using about 3 teaspoons of seasoned oil, about 6 teaspoons of milk. You'll see why in a moment. And we're using a very generous pinch of saffron, so no turmeric here, we're using saffron. Such a simple recipe, why spoil it with a substitute ingredient, because turmeric is only trying to imitate the effects of saffron. So if you're cooking it at home, it's great, you're cooking it for yourself, so aim higher than the restaurants, I would say. So a generous pinch of salt to taste, 1 small onion, very finely chopped, 1 cinnamon leaf, you might know it as bay leaf, but this is a cinnamon leaf, tejpata, an Indian bay leaf, 1 cardamom. Make sure your cardamom is full of seed. Yeah, and also crack it open to release the seeds. Okay, so that's where you get your flavour. So make sure it's nice and solid so you can ensure there's plenty of seeds. 1 prong of star anise. Now, if you don't like a licorice or aniseed flavour, omit that. 2 cloves. Okay, so simple as it is, let's get cooking. So 3 rings on. Apologies about my messy cooking. I've just done a base gravy recipe. I'll post a link up for the recipe on the screen as we speak, and I must say it smells amazing, tastes amazing, and it's a shortcut as well, but I won't go into that. So let's put a little frying pan on there for the milk. Let's bring that milk to the boil. I want my water brought to the boil as well. There is enough water to cover the rice by approximately 1 inch. Okay, so where's my frying pan? So frying pan first. Let's put there's just about enough room there. Let's put the seasoned oil into the frying pan and let that sizzle up. So what I'm going to do with this milk I'm going to bring almost to the boil. Shouldn't take long. You don't want it boiling, but we're going to use that for our saffron, because the way to extract the most colour from your saffron is to boil it in milk. Not boil it, but just, okay, that's hot enough now. So as you'll see, okay, so I'm putting the saffron in. Let's turn that off. I'm going to let that cool down a little bit. I'm going to salt my water. Okay, obviously salt to taste. Let's cool that milk down a little bit. And let's put our saffron in. And what this does, as you'll be able to see, let's have a close-up on that. A lot of people just put the saffron straight into the boiling water. I'm not sure if my camera is good enough quality for you to see that, but that nice warm milk is slowly turning yellow with the saffron. And I'm going to leave that sit there for like 15 minutes, and we'll come back to that in a minute. It's really turning a yellow colour. I'm not sure if the camera's picking that up, but it is. So let's just put that to the side. Okay, oil's nice and hot. Let's put our onions into the oil. All the onions cut up really fine, and all the same size, so they all cook at the same time. And we can also put our bay leaves, our prong of anise, our cardamom pod. Let's make sure those seeds are coming out, and the cloves. Let's give that a good stir. So what we want to do is sweat those onions down along with the other ingredients while our saffron is colouring that milk and our water is heating up for the rice. Okay, we'll come back to that shortly. As those onions are frying down nicely, you don't want to burn them, I forgot to mention the cinnamon. Just a little piece of cinnamon. This is just enough rice for 2 people. Obviously you can scale it up or down depending on how many people you're cooking for. So make sure that cinnamon's mixed in, and we'll come back to that in a moment. So those onions are exactly how I want them. almost starting to brown, but quite translucent. So let's add our rice. And make sure you drain your rice, because you want it quite dry. Because what you want to do is suck up those flavours that are already in the pan. You can turn it down a little bit now. Turn it down. It's not just... So, I'm going to get your rice a nice colour now. Simple as that. Keep stirring it, you don't want it to burn or start drying out on the edges. Nice low heat for this. Just make sure all those flavours are mixed in. Okay, that's pretty good. So we'll come back to that in a moment. So that rice has been infused nicely with the spices that we fried off earlier along with the onion. What we're going to do now is just take it off the heat and push our water over, and we're going to be actually cooking the rice in a pan more suitable for cooking rice. Okay, so we're just going to let that water come to the boil, and then we're going to add our saffron and our rice, and we'll come back to that shortly. So that's water's nearly come to the boil, and let's just have a look at the saffron. Now, can you see the yellow colour? Yeah, just rewind back where I put the saffron in, give it a stir. Okay, you can most definitely see that bright yellow colour now. I'm not sure if the camera picks up the whole amazing yellowness of that. It looks very different to when I'm looking in the camera to that. But trust me, that is the way to extract the colour out of it rather than just put it in the boiling water. You know, methods vary. Some people scrunch the saffron up and dry roast it and then scrunch it and then, you know, then do that. But I actually love the strands of saffron in the rice. Adds a luxurious touch to it. So that's good. That's the milk and the saffron. There wasn't much milk there. Some of that evaporated. So already we're making our water nice and yellow. And we're just going to bring that to the boil before adding the rice. Okay, so let's add our rice. I'll put the pan this way so you can see that all those flavours are coming off the frying pan. As you can see, the rice looks pretty good at the moment. It isn't even cooked yet. So let's... It's my frying pan. After getting rid of the rice, after they've absorbed all the flavours, there's nothing left. My frying pan is very clean. I know people are going to be watching this and say, oh, that's not the way to do it, or, you know, people are always going to argue about recipes like this. You know, you've got to understand in Asia, where we go to a supermarket in the UK, they have maybe, I don't know, 8, 9 different types of rice. In Asia, they have a one long aisle in their supermarkets, large supermarkets, dedicated to just rice. So all different types of rice. Everybody's cooking it in different ways. This is how I do it, as you're going to see the results shortly. So let's just give that a good stir, and we just want it under boiling. We don't want to boil the rice, you know, the water evaporates too quickly. So that's good. We've got some bubbling, and that's that. We're going to put a lid on it, and we'll come back to that. I will check that every 2 to 3 minutes. And make sure it's at the right temperature, and we'll come back to that during the final stages shortly. So just a sneak preview of how that rice is cooking. I don't want it bubbling, I just want some gentle simmering. And as you can see, can you see the saffron there? Still emitting that amazing red orangey colour. So okay, we'll come back to that when it's nearly ready. Couldn't resist coming back just to show you. So that's been cooking about 3 to 4 minutes. Really important not to overcook your rice. It's basmati, it's very gentle. You know, overcooking it will just make it a soggy mush, not very pleasant to look at, and the texture won't be so great. So the trick is to get your water right if you're going to use this method. So we're nearly there now. We still have a little bit of bubbling at the bottom with some water. Okay, we're going to put that on a really low heat now. We're on the safe side, so rice is about 80% cooked. Very gentle stir here and there, just make sure everything's at the bottom of the pan, and we're just steaming that off now to finish. So I'm just going to steam that off on a low heat. I don't really like to give timings because I like the process. You know, timing, a lot of people follow timings and just mess up recipes because you need to judge this by eye. So I'm going to really slowly steam this rice off now for probably 1 to 2.5 minutes, and we're going to come back and we're ready to serve. So a couple of minutes longer, all the water's evaporated, the rice has a tiny touch of resistance still left, which is perfect. Now I'm just going to let that steam away, no heat, turn the heat off, and we're just going to leave that until the rice curls. And what we're going to do to help that, we're going to give it a bigger surface area, so we're going to push it out and make little mountains on the side and make sure as much air gets to that rice as possible, and let it dry out a little bit. That's the whole purpose of this, and we'll come back in a moment ready for serving. So that's ready for serving. I think it's nice and satisfying to watch it being served after all that. Okay, so it's nice, very individually ground. If you cook it properly, you don't have to fork it up. So plenty of lovely pieces of saffron. It's very golden, and you can have the satisfaction of knowing that you didn't use turmeric and you used saffron, and those colours are natural. And it's amazing what you get out of a 1.5 cups of rice. Puffs up a lot. So it really is like the sunshine, this rice. Let's get some of those flecks of saffron into it. And then what you can do to garnish it with these are inedible, but you can garnish it with some of the herbs that you use, but there you go. Let's get a close-up on that, make sure we're zoomed in nicely. So very natural, fragrant, amazingly tasty, honest PILAU rice. Okay, feel free to like and subscribe and share. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video.